I love that curiosity, right? Trying to figure it out. That's absolutely necessary, especially in the world of SEO that most of us are living in. When I vet my clients now, I say, listen, this isn't one of those moments where you pick up an agency and you get to just tap in and stay focused for 30 minutes a month or less. Like, we're going to email. We're part of this. We're going to scale. Like, you're going to question. You're going to be educated on what SEO is.
One of the things that we've been working on really actively right now around that accountability piece, Andrea, and Nicole, that you were both talking about, is we're rolling out a new thing where we're talking about reasons not to hire us. So we are literally telling people why we are not their agency and building out that expectation.
It is certainly, AI is a conversation we have multiple times a day. And I think when it comes to digital marketing in particular, we're really at the beginning stages of it.
What's next? Let's get in front of it. And so we have to go out and figure out what the hell is going on. How do we use this? How do we implement it? We try things out with guinea pig sites with clients that are willing to take the shot, and we experiment. So AEO has been the most recent experiment.
You still have SEO work to do because good SEO feeds into the AI models as well. And so it's no excuse to step back, step away, or not use it as it's designed to be used. And it does not replace a good, intuitive person that knows and understands your business.
But, the way that it's taken shape. And again, look, there's been failures with Google too, right? Remember Google Plus, everybody? All that stuff has disappeared, And so things are going to come and go, things are going to change, but just being on top of what's going on. And honestly, these days, people are talking generative SEO and AI tools, bringing clients.
Hi, my name is Andrea Salemi. I'm located in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm the founder and CEO of Blue Noda. We're 5.5 years old, so we're very excited. I started my agency when I was unfortunately given the boot for an AI company I was working for in New York during COVID. And I said, I want to be in control of my destiny. And my father's an entrepreneur, so I feel like it was ingrained in me. So yes, I launched Blue Noda, heavy focus on SEO, but we do web design and a lot more. And I'll pass it to Steve.
Oh, my turn. Hi, I'm Steve Scott. I run several businesses, but the agency is called the Tampa SEO Training Academy. Don't let the name fool you. We don't just do training. We do SEO services, consulting, and training. I've been teaching for SEO for almost 20 years. I've been doing SEO on my own for 25 plus. I went full time in my agency back in 2002 when I got released from a corporate gig in New York as well. I was working in a financial products company doing automation. When they downsized and sold off the business, I got 9 months of severance and a chance to take the side hustle full time. And I've been doing that, working from home ever since. So
I feel like we need a snap for each other. Kudos.
Yeah. Definitely some similarities.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Michael Fleischner, founder of Fin SEO. We're a full service digital marketing agency with a particular focus on search engine optimization. And I have been in and out of the corporate world and in and out of the agency world. And at some point, I decided that I wanted to be on this side of the fence, really helping companies elevate their brand online. And what I love about SEO is that it continues to evolve and change. And I think it's certainly for the better. It's certainly keeping us all employed. So that's a wonderful thing. So our agency, we're based in central New Jersey. We service customers throughout the US and predominantly focus on SEO, paid search, and website development.
My name is Lydia Martinez. I am the owner of Elle Marketing Events, and we are a full service creative agency that takes the digital world and also translates it into real world activations. And so it's something I've been doing. My agency is coming up on 10 years. Before that, I was the marketer and event planner for Whole Foods Market. And before that, the marketer and event planner for Barnes & Noble. So I have well over 20 years experience in the industry. And SEO is critical even for events because you have to have your event show up in people's searches when they're looking for things to do, things to engage with. And so it's something that's really, really critical and something that we always think about, taking that real world experience and translating it back and forth between digital and the real world.
I'm not one for regrets. I mean, we found our niche now 5 years later, but I wouldn't have niched down to begin with anyway. I wanted to kind of feel out different industries and applying SEO and experimenting. So if we want to get into the messy web of taking on partners too early, we can definitely unhatch that one. But I would say, be wary of adding on partners too early without understanding your own expectations, what you're receiving from said partner. Make sure it's black and white. Pay the lawyers extra to make sure the contract's really tight for you. So that would be my one advice, I guess. I know that it's not advice, but yeah.
For me, I've been in business a long time now. Looking back at it back then, I was like, the one-man show, did everything from sales to design to optimization to, reporting and whatnot. So for me, I think it would have been letting go a little bit earlier, bringing more people on. I can teach people how to do something at a much lower value per hour than me doing it. So giving up the reins a bit earlier, not being so, not micromanaging. I don't think I was a micromanager, but I was just like, well, I can do it better than anybody else. So I'm not going to let anybody else do it. So if I could go back, now granted, I've got a staff these days, but back then, if I could have done this earlier, I think it would have been better. I could have built the business quicker back then.
That was really good, Steve. I definitely agree with you. That's something that I think is difficult. It's like the entrepreneurial challenge, right? Like we want control, but we need the help. You're trying to manage your funds early on and kind of evolve from there. And it really resonates because what I was going to share is I really think it's important to be very strategic about how you're spending your time, because early on I was doing everything. And sometimes you realize if you could spend 20% of your time on that one thing, that's really going to generate 80% of the result. It's going to help accelerate your growth. So I think a lot of that is all around self-discovery, work style, and ultimately getting traction and applying your time and resources into that one thing that you do really well and that comes easily to you. And that can help you kind of relinquish control, bring in the right people, and sometimes, Andrea, the right partners. And I emphasize right, because I think even there, a lot of it is, I hate to say it, but burning through potential partners until you find the one. And I think it's okay to do that. I think that's how it works in actual practice. But of course, if you're doom scrolling on Instagram, everything seems instant and easy. And that's just not how it works.
I think for me, one of the things that I wish I'd done so much earlier, and piggybacking off of some of the things that everyone is saying here, is I wish I'd done a better job of documenting my systems and my processes earlier, because then it makes it that much easier to transition, where it doesn't have to be you teaching somebody from scratch every single time. If it's well documented, it shows not just how you do things, but also explains to people why the steps are important. They don't skip steps. And then also they understand this is the way that we do things here. It doesn't matter what my last agency does. It doesn't matter, how I think it should be done. This is the way that we do it. And this is why we do it that way. And it makes those transitions so much easier. But because I didn't spend a lot of time on that early on, it is really interesting to go back now and start doing that, over the past several years. It's much, much harder than just doing it right from the get-go.
No doubt.
So I was lucky. I was already cleaning up messes in my previous agencies. I'm a Scrum Master. So the word process. So Lydia, when you say creative agency, I worked for maybe one or two, and I knew I wasn't a fit there. Because I was like, they didn't want process, right? They wanted this open landscape for creativity. And it was a hard balance for a personality like me that wanted regimented. But with that said, we started with all those. I'm curious what everyone's favorite project management software is. Sorry, I'm taking over the podcast. Which one?
Steve, what are you using?
I'm using Teamwork.
I love Teamwork. That's what we're on.
We're on Teamwork as well.
We're using Trello, but we were on Asana, then Monday. Now we're on Trello. So I'm going to have to check this out because apparently it is the popular choice.
Well, for me, it was actually, I was using Basecamp for many years before that. And this was the only, and again, changing project management software is a nightmare, right? Because you don't know if you're going to like it until you're actually using it. And it's you don't want to migrate everything over and then you hate it. And now you're stuck. So it was a problem. But at least with Teamwork, it imported all my Basecamp stuff. And that was a big deal for me. So That's been a huge benefit as well. And their growth that they've done over the years has been pretty. I mean, I've been with them probably like 8 or 10 years now, something like that. It's been a long time.
And what's that feature you can't do without?
The boards. The boards is the latest thing that they have. The Kanban kind of boards where you can follow tasks from from ideation to completion and everywhere in between. All the conversations between the client, the team members. You got an idea for content, and the content writer gets in. Content writer passes it off to the client. The client says we're good. We put it off to the web designer to put it on the website and optimize it. Technical issues may show up, so, and of course, with all the local and social and everything paid, everything else going on, it's good to have boards that kind of lay out where you're at, what you're doing, where you're at in the process too. So
excellent.
I have one more, Aaron. Defining my culture came too late in the game. I realized who I was as a CEO or boss leader, whatever, just this year. And that helped me to kind of hire similar personalities. Not that everyone needs to be like me, but the expectation was easy. It wasn't so much churn and burn anymore. We get online and we bust it out. And if we get our stuff done by Friday, we relax, and it's work-life balance, but it's pretty heavy hitting. There's a sense of urgency and fast communication to clients. Because we all pay for services all the time. If I have to wait 24 hours for my agency to email me back, I want to throw something. So we communicate really. We have a fast response rate at my agency. And I feel like that was number one when I started kind of defining culture. So I don't know if that helps.
Well, I definitely think that you are better, at least in my experience. And I ran marketing at large corporations before I started my agency. I've worked with dozens of agencies, and you really get exposure to the strongest, I'm going to say, personalities within those businesses. And I think all of us have probably learned pretty quickly that you can always teach the skills, but you can't, it's much more difficult to change those personalities. So I actually align really closely with Andrea on this. If there are certain things that are critical to your culture and how you want to create value for clients, you have to hire personalities that can support that. I have not often, but occasionally run into a situation where you have to choose, let's say with an immediate need, like, hey, I need a pay-per-click expert for this particular project and my guy or gal isn't available. So I'm going to hire that person based on skills. But that's a bit risky because at the end of the day, even if they are competent, but like to Andrea's point, they're not communicating in an effective way, it's going to reflect negatively on the services you offer, on your agency, and maybe even on the founder of that agency. So I think hiring first for alignment around agency values and your own personal values is absolutely critical.
I would second that. We, like you were saying, Michael, you can, if somebody's willing to learn, you can train almost any skill set within marketing. And so hiring somebody that is going to be a good fit for the team culture, for the team values. But then we also take that one step further, where when we onboard somebody, they are spending their first couple of weeks, instead of diving in on work and training, they are diving in on what are the values of the company. They are getting one-on-ones with the employees. And we're a boutique agency, so we can do this, but they are getting time hearing about why our values are what they are. And they are hearing about what our mission is and what our vision is. And then they spend time sitting in on meetings and seeing those values in action. And so they recognize that some of the things that we value is like clarity and good communication first and foremost. And so suddenly they start seeing that in action, where people can call out, like, this was a mistake. Let's solve it together. That's okay. That's a value. You can point out your own mistakes. It's not a problem as long as you're clear and you own them. Or they can, they see that one of our other values is, really, really great communication. And they see that with the client and back and forth between the team members, but that it's also fun. They also see that other people are willing to help support and pick up their tasks if they communicate that they're having trouble getting something done. And so all those things, like seeing that in action, means that the hire, it is cemented in their mind right at the very beginning. And that's something that I'm really, proud of that we've been able to build. But it took us time to get there.
No doubt. I mean, for me, the one big thing I've seen over the years, and I've hired lots of everything from interns to, hiring folks, it's always been problem solving. It's always been about when I'm talking to them, it's more about, don't worry, I can figure it out. I can go to Google. I can figure it out. Like if I don't know it, I'll figure it out. And it's always been those folks that either, and generally speaking, when I'm hiring, I'm looking, because I'm not usually doing full time. I'm mostly contract workers. They work 20 plus hours usually a week for me, but I'll have somebody come in to interview and I'll ask them a few different questions. And, the ones that have always succeeded have been the ones that either had a website on their own, they were doing it as a side hustle, and they, knew how to figure it out. And that was always what it was. Because as I came up in the corporate world doing like Visual Basic programming, to teach batch file programming in 1990 back in the day. And you had to make mistakes to figure out how to do it right. And being willing to make mistakes, to take a shot, to look at it and not worry about making a mistake, but doing it in the course of finding things out. I've always found that those folks that I've hired who have that ability always are the best employees and always wound up, taking the next step up, to a corporate gig somewhere, and they're making, great money. One gal left me, she was making triple what I paid her after she left me. And I was like, you got to go. You have to go. You have to take it. So that's always been the best for me when I'm hiring. It's always that problem solving skill.
I love that curiosity, right? Trying to figure it out. That's absolutely necessary, especially in the world of SEO that most of us are living in.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we're going to tap on all the changes.
I've had people too that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please. Yeah.
I would say I've had people that come into the business, like interns and stuff, that were going to school for this and they worked for me. And I was like, you ain't gonna make it, man. This isn't for you. Like, it's just not for you. You're not going to make it. You don't know how to figure stuff out. You don't know, you're writing stuff down on a book. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not gonna have your book with you everywhere you are. Put it online, put it in, something. Like, you have to be able to figure stuff out. And if you can't, then you're not going to make it. If you don't like change in the SEO world, you ain't going to make it. Just get out,
No, I love it. Disclosure, full transparency. I think it was like these last 2 months, at least 4 times a month, I was like, I don't want to do it. Huge glass of wine, but then the next day you wake up and you go, I absolutely am going to figure this out. So, but one thing to add is accountability. I think everybody here is a natural leader, else you wouldn't be running your own shop. So not that I need all like type A leaders, but that accountability piece. And then I also project it onto my potential clients. So, once you get to a place of maturity in your business, you can be more selective. And when I vet my clients now, I say, listen, this isn't one of those moments where you pick up an agency and you get to just tap in and stay focused for 30 minutes a month or less. Like, we're going to email. We're part of this. We're going to scale. Like, you're going to question. You're going to be educated on what SEO is. And if you keep asking me what SEO is in 3 months, I know you're not listening. And that's an issue because you're not paying attention to a very expensive piece of your marketing. So if you don't care about that, I don't, probably not for me, because I feel like we can all tell in 5 minutes my type of personality. So anyway, I think that wraps for me, Aaron.
I really do like that accountability piece, Andrea. I think that's so critical, kind of given our industry and what we do. The things that as an agency owner that keep me up at night are the things like, hey, did this account manager actually follow up with the client after X, Y, and Z? And that rents a lot of headspace, a lot of time and energy that we can't be focused on. Because if we're focused on the minutia around basic communication, then we're not focused on sales, marketing, branding, growing our agencies. And I think that accountability is really the linchpin, because without it, you need the collective the leaders within the organization have to rent space in their head around making these things happen. And I think that's the quickest way to failure is not, and going back to what Lydia said earlier, right? The training, the process, the procedure, even integrating our tools to make sure those communications in particular are happening and the follow-up is happening and all the gears are moving so that we can really free ourselves up from just, active hours in the business to actually be more entrepreneurial, which is the reason I think we all got into it in the beginning to some extent, right? To really grow the agency and feel more fulfilled around the work that we're doing.
one of the things that we've been working on really actively right now around that accountability piece, Andrea and Michael, that you were both talking about, is we're rolling out a new thing where we're talking about reasons not to hire us. So we are literally telling people why we are not their agency and building out that expectation. Hey, you want like set it and forget it marketing and you don't want to be involved? We're not your agency. You want to be able to have us respond to you instantly, but you never want to respond to us when we send you things for approval. We're not your agency. You want to like email us every other week and change your strategy on the dime. We're not your agency. Like, we are thoughtful, we're strategic, we're smart, we're a part of your team. You have to treat us like we're integrated. And so we're almost creating this vetting process where we are literally saying up front, if you want these things, by all means, go hire somebody else. Like, it's okay. We are not for you. And it's interesting because as we've started to roll this out, we have clients coming to us and trying to convince us that they are a good fit for us. So it's almost like we are interviewing them first and they're convincing us that they want to give us money. And it is this delightful like role reversal that we're just starting to play around with, but I can't wait to really flesh it out.
Lydia, I absolutely love it. I love it. I wrote down a few things. I'm planning this now. Like, this is the next thing on my list to do. I love it because I have the same problem with clients, same exact things. And it's like, many of the things that you already said, I've dealt with as well. And it's like, I have a newer sales guy who's working strict commission. He keeps trying to get clients because he wants money. And I'm like, I don't care. That's not our client. We don't want that client. I don't care if you need money. Just go after the better client. Stop going after crappy clients. And then we have clients, like you said, who are either changing things every 5 minutes or not responding, or they think, well, I hired you to do the job. Go do the job. Why do you need me to give you content? Why do you need me to give you information? Why? Like, hey, if you were paying me a salary, are you not going to talk to me? Are you not going to tell me what you want done? But you think because I'm an outside agency that I'm your marketing company. I'm your marketing brand. I'm working with you or for you. Not, we're not against one another. Don't fight me. So I love that, Lydia. I'm definitely going to do that 100%.
It is delightful.
It sounds it. I mean, I was smiling listening to you and I see you're smiling talking about it. So
yeah, I was snapping for you. I was on mute and loving it. Well done.
I would definitely love to jump in on this. It is certainly, AI is a conversation we have multiple times a day. And I think when it comes to digital marketing in particular, we're really at the beginning stages of it. We're not at the infantile stages, but we're at the beginning stages. And, a lot of the software that we use to deliver or help deliver solutions to clients have been experimenting with AI for a while. And in some cases, they've integrated AI in a pretty meaningful way. And in addition, just in the last week, I've probably had, I'm not exaggerating, 3 or 4 separate conversations with software providers for geo optimization, generative engine optimization. And they're all at different stages. Some are still in development. Some have just released. Some are a little further down the path, but they're adding features. And, I've been around, especially SEO, long enough to have seen this multiple times. And it's all, in my estimation, moving in the right direction. We talk about Google, we talk about the AI overview, but I think that's going away to some extent. People are just getting much more comfortable with ChatGPT and Copilot and Gemini and all these Perplexity, all these different AIs, which I think will make a serious dent in people's search behaviors. And I think we as industry leaders, as agency owners, really do need to force ourselves to be on the cutting edge of that, which is really not my style. I like things to be tested and proven before I start to work with it or implement it. But in this case, I think it's such a significant evolution and sea change that we need to really take it by the reins and advise and educate others on the pros and cons, where we are, what it can do, what it can't do, and serve as the guide as others are looking to implement AI. So that's my 2 cents. Again, I think it's extremely important, and I'm really excited about where it's going.
Yeah, I concur with majority of that, honestly. I think one of the things that I'm noticing also is I think there's a lot of talk about how it's taking over Google. And when you look at the numbers, it's really not. The numbers are really low. And they're also talking, there was a thing from Rand Fishkin the other day. He also mentioned that more folks that are using the ChatGPT and the AIs, they're actually searching more on Google, right? They're using AI as a research assistant and help. And then they're going out and doing searches there. But the actual percentage of people using AI right now, right now, is minuscule. It's less than like Yahoo. It's super low. So although you and I are probably using it a lot more and integrating it more, and especially for me within the agency, and again, I am a training company. I've been training people from across the globe, big and small, for almost 20 years now. And so we are the opposite of you, Mike. We're constantly looking what's coming, what's next. Let's get in front of it. And so we have to go out and figure out what the hell is going on. How do we use this? How do we implement it? We try things out with guinea pig sites where clients that are willing to take the shot, and we experiment. So AEO has been the most recent experiment, but you bring up GEO as well, and beginning that I'm like, this was just yesterday. Like, hey, I need a new course, SEO versus AEO versus GEO. What are they? What do you do with them? What do you need to do with them? How do you get out ahead of it? So these are things that, like when core web values came out, got to make a class on core web values. What's going on? So we're using it everything across the board, from topic development to content development to title description, meta H1 kind of development. Using it for paid ads. We're building a plugin for most of our clients are on WordPress. We're building a plugin to do the structured data, and I'm bringing information from AI to create new content, unique focused content. We're using it to help evaluate our websites and existing client websites or competitor websites to see what they're doing that we're not doing. We're using it for paid ads. We're using it to help us fix code or write HT access code or just JavaScript code just to make things work. So it's all coming into play. And for me, it's more, teaching my folks, my people, that this is not replacing it. This is helping you. It's another tool. Like rather than you having to do things one by one, like you didn't have a keyword research tool, you have to put each keyword in and we'll see where you rank, right? So you get a tool and that makes it easy. Same thing here. It's just a tool to make it easy. It's not to replace you, not to get rid of you. Now, will it replace some people? Yeah, I think it's certainly going to do some of that, or maybe downsize staffs that can do more now. But I keep telling my folks, like, we're understaffed as it is. So you can do things faster, more, and better with help. Just learn how to use it right.
I like what you said, Steve, about it being a tool. We, as my team, we try to treat it as a shortcut to creativity, is what we call it. So let's not waste our time doing the mundane things, and let's go ahead and use it as a way to get the creative juices flowing so that then we can do the really good, intuitive, high-level work, as opposed to just sitting back and doing kind of those mundane things. And so that's where we start out internally with AI. And we started using AI tools clear back with like Jasper years ago, as opposed to OpenAI. So we've been using it as a tool for a very long time within the agency. But the other thing that's been interesting with clients is they're talking and asking questions about AI. And do I really need to, like, what's the value in paying for marketing? I can just put this into AI and come up with things. I challenge them to go to a new device and look up their own name or their own business and see what comes up in an AI tool.
And not in their parking lot, right?
Exactly. And not in their parking lot. Like, see what comes up, or have somebody else that has no connection to your business look up your business in an AI tool and tell me what comes up. Because if the most pristine, perfect response doesn't come up, you still have SEO work to do, because good SEO feeds into the AI models as well. And so it's no excuse to step back, step away, or not use it as it's designed to be used. And it does not replace a good, intuitive person that knows and understands your business. And so that's kind of my message, one, from inside the agency, and then two, speaking to clients about what's the future with AI.
Yeah, it's funny. I've got one of those clients that, I have a couple of really good clients that really know their stuff, right? And they're on top of it, and they go to stuff and they bring stuff to us all the time. And I have one that he used like ChatGPT and I think Grok to review the site and send us information. And I'm like, I'm sitting like this. I'm like, Jeremy, look, we're doing that. You gave it one URL to look at, not the whole site. They doesn't know about this, doesn't know about this, doesn't know about this. I'm like, so yeah, in its review of that one page of your website, maybe these things are sort of out of whack, but like part of what's being done is a strategy. Part of this is a strategy. Part of this is like, and it's not going to pick up on all the subtleties of the things that are going on around it, right? It's just kind of a little bit more laser focused when you're doing that. And we're looking at big picture. We're not looking at, one little piece. So I think that makes a big difference too.
And I think, Steve, to that point, LLMs are inherently lazy. They're going out and they're grabbing the most basic information and sources they can find. They're missing out on all this context that is really institutional knowledge, both internally and the agencies that these companies work with. And, as you've been saying, Lydia, like for the customer to see what they're seeing around AI, there is kind of, it reminds me of that back in the day when we did so many things in print and someone would look at whatever you did, an ad, a banner, a this, a that, and all of a sudden they became a marketing expert, right? And now they have these tools which are convincing them that they're marketing experts. And, at the end of the day, it's really all about bringing that expertise and value through the type of work that we do and really helping to educate our customers. And I think that's just good practice for everybody.
I agree with what everyone said. Short synopsis, I would say, yeah, LLMs need to pull from data sets. SEO is not dead. If you're on the search engine and you're constantly optimizing your site for new content, new services, or to enhance what you've already built in over the years, it's a constant effort and it's just going to get picked up. And to your point, Mike, yeah, AI is just picking up patterns and those patterns aren't always right. I looked up what it said about Blue Nota the other day. It was okay. I would like it to be better, and how I'm going to change that. I'm going to optimize my site, add different pages, structure different patterns so it understands we are this agency doing X, Y, Z across the United States, right? Not just Cleveland, Ohio. So things like that have been fun and experimental. I worked in AI. I worked in AI 7 years ago in New York, and I worked in a tool that Google has already replicated. I think his name was Albert. I know his name was Albert. And half of my job was convincing people that Albert could do it all when he couldn't. AI is not perfect. Maybe one day it will be and it'll take over the world. But for now, our jobs are safe.
Yeah, we know how this ends. We've all seen the movies. Yeah.
Yep.
And if I could just leave us with a nice visual, there's always going to be this human hand and this AI hand or a robot together, because I think it was Lydia was making that point, that human aspect, understanding the intangible of your brand, right? This probably follows more in the creative, but SEO gets a little creative, right? We have to understand, the differentiators and the value prop. We've got to extract that. And if we're writing for 7 home service businesses who are doing fall tune-ups for HVAC, by God, we've got to make them feel different. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. Love AI, great tool, not replacing us. SEO is not dead.
They've been saying SEO is dead for 20 years.
My God, right?
It's constantly. Again, I'm in the business since '97, and it's always dead. It's not dead. It's just changing. It's different. It's all it is. It's just like local. When local came out, I was just going through some of the old. It was Google local services, and it was Google Places, and it was Google My Business. Now it's Google Business Profile. It's the same darn thing, but the way that it's taken shape. And again, look, there's been failures with Google too, right? Remember Google Plus, everybody? Remember Google Publisher? All that stuff just disappeared, and so things are going to come and go. Things are going to change, but just being on top of what's going on. And honestly, these days, people are talking generative SEO and AI tools bringing clients, but I think we're losing a lot of clicks these days. You're probably all seeing it, year over year, less clicks to your website. It's AEO that's causing. It's the 0-click stuff that's causing all that. You're getting your answers on the page of Google. People are not digging deeper down unless there's a real need for it. They're getting their answers right there. And I think that's really been the crux with, with local service ads and paid ads. And people also ask in local, before you ever see an organic search, that's the problem these days. Is that's why we're losing some of these things, and that's why we have to figure out AEO and GEO so we can supplement some of that and be on that front page when people come looking.
I hope non-marketers are listening to this podcast, because if you ever, I meet with at least one person a month at least, where they come on and they say, I want you to go audit my SEO agencies because I don't think they're doing their job and I think I could do this better. And I go, why would you want to do any of this? If you're already running, like say an HVAC company or a roofing company, so where are you going to find the time? Because one, you've got the tools, but I feel like everyone here can agree. And this is what I teach when I pitch is if you're in SEMrush, Ahrefs, Moz, you're going to get a different domain authority calculated. You're going to have everything is going to fluctuate based on this biased tool. So welcome to the gambit. Welcome to the circus that is SEO. Because you have to have this mind that can take tons of data and find some sort of aggregated truth and clarity to keep proceeding through and sifting and experimenting. So that is a full-time job. And if anyone is running their own business and they think they can do what everybody here is doing, God bless you, but you can't, because you just not enough time in the day. One will fall. You need an SEO agency. You need folks and marketing and creative who understand what they're doing. And AI and these autos and the advertising I see all the time, just plug it in and it's going to do this. And it's like, no, it's not. It is not. Maybe it will do X, but it won't do X, Y, Z in the whole alphabet. So sorry, I had to just get on that rant because it just drives me up a wall. Thank you. Right?
I'm having some weather here, so if I just blown away, that's what's going on. I have some thunder and lightning as is have to happen this time of the year in Florida.
I'll just make a joke. Steve was mentioning all of the Google divisions that have changed and flip-flop. Maybe they could just open Google support and be really good at that. That would be a great change for our
You mean
industry.
to have someone there you can actually talk to?
Oh my
Wait,
God.
are we talking realistically, or are we talking like
No. Google, if you're listening, be better. Be better.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, yeah. Again, we all have wish lists. I'm trying to think of what I would consider, the next big thing, or at least for this year. Man, that's a tough one. I mean, outside of AI, because AI is really feeding into, I think, where we are needing to move things. I mean, I know for me, I was having this conversation with my executive assistant today, how we need to start moving the agency from not just being an SEO agency, but for being an AEO agency and a GEO agency. Like, we need to take that next step. A, it's a differentiator. Not everybody's doing it. B, it's the idea of, look, there's search engine that does this, there's AEO that does this, and there's GEO that does this. And just like before, I always like, before you had social media, right? You had a website, right? Now you have a web presence. You're everywhere, right? Social and online, and you have directory listings and whatnot. And I think these things that are coming out just need to change the way that we pitch clients. It changes what we're doing for them. We have to educate them. Again, I'm in education anyway. Sandra, like you said, you have to educate them and make sure that they understand what's going on, that, you're not Google, that if things tank, it's not because you did something bad. It's because something may have changed or something else. Maybe you did something that you didn't tell us about that, all of a sudden is impacting us. So I think really educating your clients and getting them to understand what's going on, helping them understand where these dips may be coming from and why, and noticing, like, using those tools. Well, hey, this is not just you. The entire people that we're tracking have all dropped, So it's like, it's across the industry, and being able to help them understand, I think, is going to be that consultative approach anyway, moving forward.
Yeah, and if I could build on that, Steve, I think that the consultative approach really leads into where I see the biggest change is doing more strategic advising with clients. There are just so many different media where you can spend your money, and not everyone has a blank check. So I think there has to be some advisory around what their specific goals and objectives are, what their expectations are, what their timelines look like, what kind of aligns with their own brands and where those dollars get spent. Even clients who used to spend all of this money with us on SEO, many have moved into a blended approach with SEO and paid. And then, they went from SEO to paid to really working on their own content development and social media and other things. And I see that continuing to grow and accelerate as more and more options become available, whether it's AIO or GEO or SEO or whatever the case may be. So I think the strategic advisory piece is something that we will see an increasing demand for, and something that we are all uniquely positioned to provide, because we're seeing it all in real time and we kind of know what things look like under the hood. So I think that's value add for our clients, and ultimately a service that they're all going to be looking for.
I want to play off that. Like, my theme, and it's been this way for a long time, but I think it's coming to a head, and we can see it. We can see it existentially in our politics, in our world, and that's source of truth. We are very muddled in our sources of truth. And I see this in messy data. So we specialize in data clarity, where we break apart the CRM and tech stack so that it feeds in and shows return on investment, not only across organic, but across multiple channels. And I feel like there's like this moment that might happen, if it's not already, where the Reddit's going to have a heyday. Like, we need verified human sources of truth when we're talking about product service reviews, trusted, because, you know, a lot of the times, I think at least I can speak for my clients. They're like, can I just buy something where like an AI will just give me 5,000 reviews on Google? And I go, oh dear God, I hope not, but probably, like, you would probably find it, and you shouldn't. And then if we start worrying about that, where are we going to crave human, like, truth? Like, where are we going to find the rock stars, the real agencies that we can trust, vetted not from a referral we know, but on the internet, scanning and researching on our own? So I don't know if that kind of resonated with anyone.
And Andrea, that feeds in so well with what I wanted to say. Was truly as all these channels are growing, expanding, and, you know, omni-channel marketing was a point of conversation a couple of years ago, and talking through the AI challenges and changes and things along those lines. I think that one thing people have to keep in mind with their marketing is authenticity and truthfulness first. And that has to be point one. People are becoming very, very savvy when something feels like a marketing ploy. You know, a certain jeans commercial that just ran feels like a recent example where it was deliberate and it got people talking in an infuriated way. But it was like, there were smart people behind that campaign. It was on purpose. People recognized it for what it was, but it also made them really angry. And so people are starting to push back against things like that feel like a ploy, and recognizing that they're savvy enough to see it. They've seen it happen before. And so they're looking for something that feels real or that adds to the conversation within marketing in a way that is valuable and authentic. And then taking that and recognizing you can't do well everywhere. You cannot be everywhere. And so it's better to go for quality and be fewer places than to go for quantity or volume. You know, I have to be on Instagram and Facebook and Pinterest and Reddit, and I have to have a great website, and I have to have a great email list, and I have to have a great newsletter, and I have to, like, what about TikTok? You know, what are we doing there now? So thinking through all the different things, you cannot, even with an unlimited budget, do everything. And so you have to, like, pick your channels and do a great job on those channels and just embrace, like, this is what we're doing. And so I think that is the trend. Instead of being everywhere, saying, I am going to own my little corner and be the best.
Yeah, I'm into that, Lydia. I'm in.
Pleasure meeting everybody.
Such a pleasure.
Try to find you guys on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Sounds good, everybody. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Bye.